They sold the corpses for money. But one day, they became part of the collection themselves. Two Irishmen, William Burke and William Hare, made history as the cruelest suppliers of bodies to Edinburgh's anatomical theaters. They didn't rob graves, but strangled the guests of their cheap hotel, selling the corpses to Dr. Robert Knox. They are caught when neighbors notice too many funerals. Burke is executed, and Hare is released. But legends say that his face is forever frozen, in a grimace of horror, as if the victims were staring at him from the darkness. And their method, strangulation, burking, became a term in forensics. He cut, disappeared into the darkness, and he left messages that drove England mad. 1888, London. An unnamed maniac terrorizes Whitechapel, leaving the mutilated bodies of women in the streets. 3 victims have had their internal organs removed, leading to the theory that the killer had some anatomical or surgical skills. The police panic. The killer writes mocking letters to the newspapers and disappears without a trace. But most eerie of all, he is never caught. (1892) Massachusetts. 40 axe blows, and Lizzie's parents are dead. Everything points to her, but the jury acquits the girl because of her too noble appearance. The newspapers go crazy. They write poems. Lizzie gave an axe, and her name becomes a symbol of unsinkable chutzpah. Today, her photo is used in memes like, "When you're guilty but look innocent," and her trial is called the first media trial. He built the Murder Castle, a hotel with secret rooms, trapdoors, and body ovens from which the guests never emerged alive. Henry Holmes, America's first serial killer, insured his victims for large sums of money and killed them in cold blood. Before his execution, he confessed to killing 27 people, but whispered to the executioner, "There are actually 200, and some of them are still in the walls." Vlad III, Teeps, known as Dracula, became the prototype of the most famous vampire in history. Vlad III, nicknamed Teeps, meaning stake puller, ruled with incredible cruelty. He put his enemies on a stake, boiled them alive, and drank wine among the corpses. Birds were said to be hesitant to fly over his kingdom because of the stench of death. One legend says that he once feasted on staked bodies in the forest. When the guests lost their appetite, Dracula ordered them to be staked as well, saying, "Do you not appreciate my hospitality?" Jesse James is the Wild West's most legendary outlaw who robbed over 20 banks and 7 trains. He robbed banks, but he became famous as America's first media outlaw. His daring raids were turned into adventure stories by the newspapers. But did you know that he himself wrote letters to newspapers justifying his crimes? His image was romanticized. Some saw him as a noble robber, others as a cold-blooded killer. And after his death, his face was printed on postcards. He printed counterfeit money and killed those who could expose him. Joseph Whale was a brilliant con man whose counterfeit banknotes rocked the U.S. economy. But when his associates started disappearing, the newspapers dubbed him the Ghost Banker. One legend had it that if you put one of his counterfeits to your ear at midnight, you could hear a whisper. The banknote is real, but you're not. The FBI still has one of his printing presses. He was a doctor, and he killed his female patients. Krim poisoned women with strychnine, but what ruined him was his love of the theater. He planted anonymous notes with hints of crimes to the police. After his arrest, a diary containing the names of 43 patients was found in his home. Each one had a price against it, ranging from £5 for a kidney to £20 for a complete set. And the last page was scribbled with one word: not enough. Before his execution, he said, "I am Jack the Ripper," although this was a lie. She killed, quietly, without noise or blood. Mary Ann Cotton, Britain's first serial killer, put 21 people to death, 3 husbands, a lover, a mother, friends, and 11 of her own children. Her weapon of choice was arsenic, and her motive was insurance payouts. The jury's verdict was unequivocal, guilty, and deserving of the death penalty. Mary Ann Cotton was hanged on the 24th of March, 1873. She died not from a broken neck, but from strangulation caused by a rope that was too short. The executioner was William Calcraft, one of Britain's most famous executioners, who was famous for making his victims die in agony. He killed with a charming smile, literally, and then photographed the corpses as if they were dear friends. William Creamer, a Victorian-era serial killer, made history with his gruesome prison photo of him grinning broadly into the camera. Newspapers dubbed him the demon with the angel face, and the public collected his images as macabre souvenirs. Creamer's last words, "I will be remembered forever," proved prophetic. Police found a bag of 217 buttons in his home, and when asked why, he only smiled. "To keep them always fastened to me." She wore crinoline dresses and pistols. Fanny Cornell was a rare 19th century female pirate who robbed ships off the coast of Australia. Her arrest became a sensation. Newspapers wrote that she shot at the police without messing up her hair. In prison, she sewed miniature sails from government sheets and flew them out the window, whispering, "The wind is still mine." Guards swore they could hear the masts creaking from her cell at night. After her escape, the ghost of a schooner was seen in Sydney Bay with a female figure in a lavish dress on deck, and gold coins with powdered prints were found on the shore. He robbed with a gun in one hand and a Bible in the other, and became the first meme of the Age of Enlightenment. James Hinde was a legendary English robber of the English Revolution, whose daring robberies and witty responses to judges turned him into a folk hero. His phrase, "I take only from those who can afford to lose," became a catchphrase in the XC7 century. When he was captured, at his trial, he stated, "Your Honor, if all thieves talked as much as I do, your job would be a lot easier," a dialogue rewritten in 17th century pamphlets. After his execution, his face was printed on cheap engravings with captions like, "Would steal your heart too," and plays about him were staged in London taverns for laughs. In the 18th century, his image became a symbol of the romanticized bandit. Artists depicted him with the inscription, "Robber with good manners," and aristocrats carried mugs with his portrait. Which of these characters impressed you the most? And who would you personally send straight to the cauldron of hell? Write in the comments.